G'day, welcome back. Today I'm going to be changing the front shock absorbers on my 2008 Ford Focus, which is the Mark 2.5. Doing this because I've noticed a leak, as you'll see here. The car's 2008, so almost 10 years old, done 172,000 kilometres, so that's probably a reasonable life for a set of shocks. And we're going to be putting in these KYB Excel-Gs. KYB, decent quality aftermarket, make a lot of OEM stuff. Also got some new top mounts and bearing plates, new dust boots and bump stops, and because we have to disturb them, also got the anti-roll bar links as well, so cheap. And again, we'll be disturbing them till 170,000 kilometres. We'll get them changed, so let's get to it. Right, so to take this strut out, it starts off pretty simple really. You've got the typical stuff. You've got a sway bar link, you've got a bracket, you've got where the strut goes into the knuckle, but then when you come up top, you'll notice you can't get to the top nuts under there because you've got this cowling in the way. So you've got to remove that cowling. But you'll also notice the windscreen wipers are in the way of getting the cowling off, so they've got to come off too. So to do your front struts on a Ford Focus Mark 2.5, it's a little bit painful. The wipers are 15mm. One off. Two wipers. We've got a series of clips. Out. Just got this one in the way, so that's just a couple of torque screws. Looks like two T30 torques. Right, so with all that out the way, then you can see the top of the strut towers. But we've still got the strut brace, because this is obviously a 1.8 turbo diesel race car. Right, so let's get this strut out of here. So in the Ford manual, it gives you the order in which you're supposed to take things off. You start here with the anti-roll bar link, then you take the brake hose away. You undo the pinch bolt at the bottom there. I'll give you a closer look at that. Then you take the strut out the top. So what I've done, I've just kind of put some WD-40 on all the bolts we're going to undo. They're not, I've already done the other side, it wasn't overly rusty. Also going to spray some WD-40 just where the strut enters the knuckle, just to help us along our way. So we'll start by undoing the roll bar link, which is a 15. We'll try and rattle it off with a rattle gun. If not, you need to put an Allen key in the hole and undo it with a spanner. There you go, so that end's come off. You can move that out of the way. Move the anti-roll bar link out of the way. Brake hose on this side. Just wiggles out. There you go. Doesn't mention to do this, but I also just release the ABS sensor and just tuck it out the way, just so we don't damage it whilst we're taking the pinch bolt and arm off. So there's our pinch bolt. It's a 15mm. Bolt comes out. It's marked as an always replace bolt. My Ford dealer didn't know, couldn't get me one, so I've got to reuse them. So there we go. So that's the bolt out there. Next is about the only special tool really you need for this job, but you can work around it. A laser, well, any brand strut nut tool. And what that is, it's a little kind of rectangular shaped bit with rounded edges that you insert into the back of the knuckle here. Turn it 90 degrees. It spreads the knuckle a little bit so you can get the strut out. Quite common on Volkswagens, Fords and a lot of other cars now. So we'll go ahead and get that in there. There you go, so that's now locked in place. There you go, so that's locked in place there. Gives us a little bit of wiggle room to get the strut out. Right, so everything's clear of the strut. Now we can get it disconnected from the knuckle. Big rubber hammer. There you go, job done. Right, so these are 3 13mm nuts up top. You can undo 2 of them. Take the 2 out. Then make sure you're holding the strut. Take the 3rd one out. And here you go. Here's a nasty leaking strut. Bearing plate. Right, so we'll go and stick it in the vise and swap it over. Right, so obviously you've got a compressor spring to take the old shock out. Now I'm going to be using these suicide clamps to do that. And now it's up to you what you use. What you could do after you've taken the struts off the car, take it down to your local garage, get them to do it in a proper machine. You'll be okay. You can use these. A lot of people have been hurt by these. Don't get hurt by these. I'm going to try my hardest not to get hurt by these. But yeah, just be careful. Don't do what I've done in the past. Use a proper tool. I've already done one side, wasn't too bad with these, only slightly terrifying.
If you don't have a strut compressor at home, you're going to want to take it to a shop and have this done. Don't use them little death trap threaded rod deals. They'll kill you.
You want to try and compress as much of the spring as you can. Keep it as straight as possible. But again, I don't want to give you tips on using these, you just shouldn't use them. Right, so we got some movement on the spring there, so it is loose. So we can, what I did find on the other one was with the KYB replacements, they seem to be ever so slightly shorter. So even though they've got a slight bit of movement there, K's just whack them in a little bit more. Just so you can get the nut started a bit more easily. Right, so we definitely got some free movement there. So we'll undo the nut. The Ford nut's a 19. Replacing the nut is slightly different, right? Right, then we can take our bearing plate off. Yeah, I'm guessing that bearing's shot. We're just about in time for replacement there. Don't know what's set. Right. Get our spring out of the way. Again, treat this like a loaded weapon, really. Don't put it anywhere where it can shoot at you. You can put it on the floor the other side of the workshop. Right, so here's our old shock. Yep, she's pooched. Still a bit of resistance. But no rebound, so plus no fluid. So here's our new one. See, that one's pleased to see me. Clamp that in the vise nice and firmly. And we've got our new boot and bump stop. Comes as one piece. We've got our top plate and a bush, I guess it is. So these clip together. Right, so time to put our spring back on. Right, there's our new strut. Here's our spring. Again, treat it very carefully. Load it up where the other one was, so the bottom coil kind of nudges up against that bit there. We'll put our top mount and strut cover on. You've got to work out exactly where that fits. We've got our top plate. Top plate, and somewhere we've got a new nut. I've lost the new nut. My top plate, new nut. As you see, it's kind of get that nut started. So that nut started, and we need to tighten it up. So we'll do some tightening, then we can unleash our danger clamps. Right, so some people will just kind of rattle these down with a rattle gun. You're not supposed to do that because you spin the shaft inside the shock and you can wear out the seals and piss oil everywhere. So we are going to do it properly, which means an Allen key in the Allen key thing on the shaft, and a 90mm spanner. Once you get this top nut back on, you can kind of relax and pucker. It's a lot less deadly now, if you like. Now there is a torque spec for this nut, but not going to worry about it. All the torque specs come with your new shocks, so yeah, go with those. Don't go with anything I tell you. Just going to go with that type, which is kind of one grunt really. There's a silent grunt, but it's one grunt. Right, then double check everything lines up, that everything's where it should be, that your bottom coil's at the bottom and you're nice and even at the top. You can start undoing this and then you can finally relax. Start undoing them, just make sure your spring's staying where it should be. They're dangerous, whatever you do with them. Ideal, managed to just scrape the bottom of the shock there. But yeah, that's our strut. Now we can put it back in the car. Right, then one point to note, these bearing plates are asymmetrical. As in, you've got one side with a couple of bumps on that's a different shape to the others. This goes to the inside of the car, so that's the most inbound part there is, and then you can do it back up. Right, so you've got this strut brace in the way here. Now doing the other side, I found it was easier to take that out of the way, so you can, gives you better visibility when you remount the strut. There's two 10mm nuts. And that lifts out of the way. Then as you can see, you've got this big hole in the middle that helps you line everything up. So now we've got that out of the way, we're going to take our strut. Again, we've got the dimples on this side, this is the inside. So we'll jab it in, see if we can get it lined up. Put that back on. You get new bolts for the top plates. So we'll just get those started. Finger tight. finger tight now. Before you forget, put your two 10mm nuts back on. Right, next up we've got to get our strut into the knuckle. Might pay just to clean up the knuckle a wee bit, give it a brush out with a wire brush, make sure there's no goobers or rust or anything. Mine's pretty clean. Yeah, it's just going to help ease it back into there if it's a bit nice and clean. Right, then we can start getting it up. So on the back of the shock there's a little notch that goes into the channel that you've widened with your special tool. A bit of lube should help ease things back together. That's going together nicely. What I did on the other side was just get my trolley jack. So just got the trolley jack, put it under the, leave my knee out of the way, trolley jack under the control arm, just to give it a little bit of pressure to help it back up into place. Again, just got to make sure it lines up where it should. It seats all the way home. Then you can put your pinch bolt back in. Right, so I've put anti-seize at the bottom of the bolt and I put Loctite at the top of the bolt. Now what does that say about the duality of a bolt?
I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, sir. The what? The duality of man, the Jungian thing, sir.
You want it to stay in there, but you want it to come out as well. Makes sense to me anyway. Right, so that's the 15mm again, still. Nice and tight. Right, then we can remove our special tool from back here. Just rotate it a wee bit more till it comes loose. Of course, we just tighten that with the special tool in place, so just double check that's tight. Which it is. Right, then we can reconnect our brake line. Right, now we've just got to get this roll bar, the old roll bar link out. Right, so there's our roll bar link. No real play, but pretty soft and floppy. Right, here's our nice stiff replacement. Right, so we've popped both ends in. Remember the bracket for the ABS sensor. Put the nut on here. Get it started. So that's the top end done. Good and tight at the bottom. Good and tight at the top. Right, just need to tighten the bolts at the top. Put that trim back on and we're all done. Alright, top nuts, we'll give them a wee tighten. Alright, then these are supposed to be 35 Newton meters. We'll torque these. Right, that's it done. Say first impressions, it rides nicely. Nice and quiet. Ooh, yeah, we're just going over a few little bumps there, that's pretty smooth. But now this is super smooth, this is a big improvement. The railway line's coming up again. Drive the car around the block, make sure it still works.
Okay.
Right. Back from the test drive, all went really well. You can actually tell the difference between the new shocks and the old shocks. Drives a lot smoother, much gentler over the bumps. But yeah, no, wasn't too bad a job. You can get away without the special tool, the strut tool, if you want. You can just find something to jam in there or just wedge it apart somehow, up to you. Special tool makes it nice and easy, as you saw. If you're not confident with those suicide clamps, don't use them. Take the strut to a workshop, get them to do it in a proper tool. I use those clamps, worked for me. I didn't die, so it's always a bonus. But yeah, there we go. All done. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one. Cheers.